discussion is certainly a long one, or could be a long one. Digital superintelligence might be the most significant technology that humanity ever creates. And it has the potential to be more dangerous than nuclear weapons. So, in the case of creating OpenAI, it was to have there not be a unipolar world where Google, with its subsidiary DeepMind, would control an overwhelming amount of AI talent and compute and resources, which then is somewhat dependent on basically how Larry Page and Sergey Brin and Eric Schmidt believe things should go, because they between the three of them, or two out of three, have control over Alphabet, because they've got super voting rights. And I was quite concerned based on some conversations I had with Larry Page, where he did call me a speciesist for being pro-humanity, and so I'm like, what side are you on, Larry? Not ours, it would seem. I think, and so I felt like uncomfortable having the entire future of digital superintelligence be in the hands of someone who called me a speciesist for being pro-humanity. How can it not be? So that's OpenAI was originally created as an open source nonprofit, and now is a closed form. It appears to be. It should be renamed Closed for Maximum Profit AI. It is closed, and they are aiming to, I think, try to make $100 billion. I think, according to Sam Altman, get $100 billion from somewhere for some vast amount of compute to create digital God. Apparently, all the weights are stored in a comma-separated value file, by the way. So, digital God will be a CSV file.
How do we import it? File, import, God.
To Excel, see what happens. Anyway, so now OpenAI is somewhat. It's also very closely aligned with Microsoft. Microsoft is really. The OpenAI servers are running in Azure and Microsoft data centers. So really, what you have is, I think, at the end of the day, Microsoft having more control than OpenAI. They have access to all the source code. They have access to all the weights of the GPT-4 and future versions. So they have all rights to this to the thing. It's not at any point really they could cut off OpenAI. I don't think OpenAI quite realizes the dependence on Microsoft. And even if Microsoft does break some contract, they'll just be tied up in litigation for years. So really, you've got a contest between kind of like Google and Microsoft. Google, as I mentioned, are concerned about, Larry not caring enough about AI safety, and good reason. And then Microsoft just is I think, a profit-seeking organization. And I think such is great, but I can't say that it would be difficult to say that Microsoft has an amazing track record in moral decision making. So
diplomatic.
Anyway, so I was like, okay, look, I think let's try to create a third company that is competitive. I do think Tesla is underrated from an AI standpoint in terms of real-world AI. Tesla has the best real-world AI. So, hopefully between XAI and Tesla, there's kind of a third contender for digital superintelligence.
Would you look? You open source your patents at Tesla. You are very pro open source your source code at X. Would you ever considering releasing Dojo and FSD more as a platform substrate for everybody else, or that's sort of off the table right now?
Well, I don't know that, in the case of say, Dojo or our inference hardware that's in the car, our inference computer, which is actually a lot more compute than Dojo, by the way. You know, we've got, I don't know, somewhere in the order of 4 million cars that have high-speed AI inference computers in them. You know, like open sourcing chip designs doesn't mean you suddenly get that thing.
Yeah.
You know, you can open source the software, but I think chip designs, they'll need ones that can actually use those chips, or really kind of, yeah, would be someone that's willing to spend many billions of dollars on a computer development. So anyway, I think in the case of you know, Dojo is interesting. Optimist is really interesting. Anyway, I think just in general, Tesla is one of the world's leading AI companies, and in some respects, the leading AI company when it comes to real-world AI, understanding the real world and actually reacting to that with self-driving. And I think that will become part of the solution for AGI, or general superintelligence. So, in the case of Tesla, I think we've got a sort of a good governance structure in that there's no super voting rights or anything like that. So if I'm, you know, go crazy, the shareholders of Tesla can vote me out. You know, I have enough of a vote to be, you know, I think moderately influential, but not enough to stay in even if I'm doing crazy stuff. So I think that's actually good.
Great. I'm told we have to wrap him at 5.
Oh, okay. Just on the FSD, before we wrap, I'll let you go. We were talking earlier this year, and you said, hey, maybe ChatGPT 4.0 like moment for self-driving was coming. And I've been playing with the beta, and yeah, how close does it feel to you? Because some of the rides it's been doing for me are pretty darn impressive.
The latest beta is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. You know, I used to love it on the highways and on the streets. I'd be like, okay, but now I'm using it increasingly on the streets. So, how do you feel about it right now? And I guess you made a lot of predictions on it over the years, but it does feel like it's getting pretty close.
Yeah, I think it's very close to, you know, being in a situation where even if there's no human oversight or intervention, that the probability of a safe journey is higher with FSD and no supervision, like even if you're asleep in the car, than if the person is driving. We were very close to that. You know, those that have the FSD beta, which really anyone can get at this point. So the miles we see driven under the FSD beta currently are much safer than the miles that are driven without it. So that's you know, that's already a very good milestone. But you know, you can just see that it's getting better and better. Like if you compare the you know, FSD beta today versus 6 months ago versus you know, a year ago versus 18 months ago, it's really, the improvement is dramatic. Yeah. You know, we've got the final piece of the puzzle, which is to have the control part of the car transition from about 300,000 lines of C++ code to also a neural network. So you know, the whole system will be neural network, photons in to controls out, and that's kind of the final piece of the puzzle for full self-driving being significantly better than human.
Wow. Awesome. Thanks for taking the time, buddy.